Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I'm never coming back? My mom and dad are divorced. My mom has remarried and has 3 stepchildren, while my dad is still single and I live with him. I see my mom on some weekends, but I don't spend the night at her house because I like to spend the weekend with my friends. So I spent the summer with my mom. I didn't want to, but she has been telling me how she misses me and how she is going to make sure I have a good time. I said yes because she is my mom, plus she had been practically begging, making it hard to say no. The whole time I was at her house, I just wanted to go home. Instead of everyone washing their own plate, we all take rotations, so I am left washing like 15 plates every other day because they serve food family style and there are so many chores. My mom didn't even let me meet friends all that much. And there was constant noise while at my dad's house. He makes me food, and I wash the plate for the 2 of us. He allowed me to bring friends over, and me and him clean the house together, but since we are 2 people, the house is never that dirty to begin with. My dad let me talk to him informally. If I asked my mom what was up, her husband would go into a rant about how I shouldn't talk to her like that, and I was left babysitting a lot there. Me and my dad eat out every Sunday, like we go to a nice restaurant and try different cuisine. While he eat out, we all have to beg my mom and husband. And if I am feeling sad, my dad always takes me for a walk or to go get some food. If I am sad here, nobody notices it, like I am not seen here. I just miss my dad and never want to return here. My mom is sad I am leaving and said we should do it again for every holiday. My dad is picking me up today because I start school on Wednesday, and I said that I was never coming back here and when to pack all of my things. My mom's husband decided to come and give me a speech about how I shouldn't say stuff like this, and this just made me not want to come back here again because why does she always report me to her husband when I told her that in private? I told my dad what I said, and he said I don't have to come back if I don't want to, but my response was a bit harsh. Was I being an a-hole? I canceled the entire vacation when I found out that my stepdaughters deliberately hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home. I've been married to my wife Beth for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica. And I also have 2 stepdaughters named Monica and Leah. They're 25 and 28. Both are single moms and live with us currently. There's been issues about my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first since this is what she does to earn money, but since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. I planned a family vacation for 3 days and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leah suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues. And also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this till I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had packed their bags and it was time to go, Jessica found out that she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag, then went home and searched there. Beth's stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay at home with the kids. They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she helped Leah hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. I was livid. I tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leah had it. Leah denied it, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. They stayed upstairs for a while and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting them to stay with someone they know. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. I cut my pregnant sister off financially and telling her having another baby would be irresponsible of her. I'm 22 and she's 25. My sister, Mia's son, is 7 months old and the father is not in her baby's life at all. He basically dipped the week after the baby was born. I've been supporting both of them financially while my sister Mia gets back on her feet and looks for a job to pay the bills all on her own. Fast forward to 2 days ago, she calls me excitedly, telling me she has big news. Deep down in my heart I already knew what she was about to say and my intuition was confirmed when she said she was pregnant again. She went on and on about how she met a new guy she hadn't told me about and how nice he treats her and the baby. That she really feels like he's the one and how she can't wait for the family she was supposed to have. I basically laid it out straight to her. She hasn't been dating this guy for very long, and yet she's already pregnant and wanting to marry him simply because he treats her and the baby nicely. He isn't helping with bills, or providing in any way. This was not likely to last and she'll be a single mom of 2. Not to mention how dangerous it is to get pregnant this soon after giving birth. She told me I was being fake and that I wasn't acting like family. That I should support her like our mother is. Turns out, our mother is kissing her butt and only enforcing those colored glasses Mia has on the situation. Telling her stories of how our stepdad only knew her for 2 months before he married her and blah blah. I told her that I can't support her or any other children should she decide to go through with this. I essentially said I'm not pressuring you into anything. This is your choice, but I refuse to be financing this choice. You're on your own, Mia. I can't enable you to dig yourself further in holes you can't climb out of because of irresponsible unplanned pregnancies, and I refuse to, of course. She didn't take that well. Started crying. And saying how I just don't want her to be happy, how much of a beach I am, and hung up. Our mother isn't very happy with me now. I do feel bad. I don't think I worded it the best, nor should I have called her irresponsible. I'm just at my breaking point. I switched to regular milk to prove that my lactose-intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me. Me and 2 other guys share an apartment together and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone's in charge of buying their own food and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing, they have my name written on it, or my stuff finishes too quickly. My gallon of milk for example. I buy almond milk because I like the taste. But it seems to finish after a week even though I've only drank once or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times and that's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home and R's already left for work that I notice my food's gone. My roommates also had a similar problem but not as often as I do. I'm guessing because R doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is R buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tell us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to catch/prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk, he was using it to make a shake. I only responded with so. Then you're the one who's been stealing? He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kinda funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense and my roommate told me R is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know we're both looking to move somewhere else together cause we are sick of his poop. I told some buddies what happened and a few think I was an a-hole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it and I wanted to prove it. I want an abortion and a divorce after this. I want to tell this to somebody and it seems that I can only keep it to myself. I cried for several hours. I'm very scared and tired, so I think I will be rambling. I just want to put this somewhere. And my husband and his family don't know English, so this place makes me feel safe. I learned that I am pregnant this morning. I don't know how long that has been. I told my husband. The next moment I knew he was happy. He told me he was glad. He was very happy when he left to meet his parents. I opened my door today to my mother-in-law on him. He did not tell me she would come and he knows I don't do well with announced visitors, especially of that importance. It was her second or third time in our apartment, but she acted like it was hers. She ordered me to sit and I felt so anxious. My heart was beating so fast. It all felt so unsafe. I kept looking at my husband, but he never looked me in the eyes. He was looking at the floor or at his hands the whole time. His mother demanded a paternity test right after congratulating me. It felt so awful. She didn't say anything rude or bad, but it felt like she did. It felt like she called me a street worker. I was shocked. And I kept trying to get my husband to look at me, but he would not. She noticed and ordered to look at her and that her son would not help me. It all felt so scary. She started to threaten me with the lawyers that are friends to their family. She told me that if I was smart, I would go with her to the clinic tomorrow and this will all be over with. It felt so awful. It felt like I was completely at the mercy of this woman. It felt like she could just grab me and put her hands inside me herself and my husband would not protect me. And the most disgusting part of all, it felt like she somehow did that. It felt like she somehow put her hands inside me and did whatever is there. Whatever I felt for my husband died at that moment. After the shock and the fear, I felt disgust for him. I felt sick sitting there. He looked so disgusting and pathetic sitting there, silent, not protecting me. It felt disgusting that I ever let him touch me. Let him do this to me. Like all the love I had for him was tainted too. All I managed to say was that I need time to decide. She told me there is nothing to decide. And I told her that I am shocked and I need time. She told me that this was what she was afraid to hear and it's all very clear to her. It felt like I would throw up. I wanted to cry so badly and my voice was shaking. But I didn't cry. She said that she is sorry that it had to be this way. But she gave me 3 days. My husband stood to see her out, not saying a word to me. He went to see her to her car and I was left alone. I immediately cried. I felt so scared. I felt like they could barge in and just take it out of me if they wanted. Like they thought so little of me. Did my husband always think that I was cheating or did she? Did they always look at me and think that I am unfaithful? Several times I tried to throw up because I was crying so hard. Why didn't my husband protect me? This is not who I married. The last time I felt so unsafe was when I was in my parents' home and I vowed that I would never feel this way again. I married him because I felt like he could protect me and he didn't. I still feel sick and disgusting for letting him touch me, for being pregnant by him. When I heard him come back, I locked the door to the bathroom and I have been here ever since, crying. He didn't say a word to me. I'm waiting for him to fall asleep. So I can fall asleep on a couch we have in the kitchen. I don't ever want to be in the same bed with him again. I may not think clearly, but I want a divorce. I will never feel safe with this man and I would never love him again. I know that for certain. I will never be sure that he will protect me. I can't stay. The thing that makes me scared is that I want an abortion. It was the first thing I Googled. What I have inside me is his. It ties me to him and to his mother. I want it out. While I was crying, I scratched my stomach unintentionally, and now it's all red and itching. I can't think about what is inside of me without crying in hysteria. I want out. I want to be safe. It's strange and cruel, but I don't feel bad for wanting a divorce. I will lose the future that I wanted and all my friends. And I will have to start all over again. But I did it once when I left my birth house, and I will do it again. I feel nothing towards what is inside of me. It reminds me of his mother and it scares me. I want it out. I never thought about abortion before. Never been around pregnant people much. Right now I don't feel anything. I don't know if I should move out first or go to a doctor. First, I'm afraid they will lock me if they find out. For some reason, this reminds me of the time I left my parents. And my head feels clear. I'm not so panicked anymore. And I mostly feel numb. But I was crying a lot earlier. I guess that's all. I want to sleep. And I need to go to work tomorrow. I think that is good because I have the excuse to be out of the flat. I don't feel safe here. Thank you for listening. I have no friends to tell this to. I'm considering divorcing my wife because she can't get over her mom dying. Yeah, I know everyone is fired up at the title and ready to tell me what a jerk I am, so here we go. My 36 male wife's 33 female mother passed away 5 years ago from lung cancer. It was not a peaceful or easy death. Our lives understandably went on pause after the diagnosis, and we both spent a lot of time off work helping care for her mother. My wife had a pretty typical showing of grief at the time, cycling through different stages. Same with our 3 kids. After she passed, however, my wife got really bad. I totally understand this. I can't say I know exactly what she went through because I haven't had a parent die, but I understand how devastated she was. 4 months after her mom passed, she could barely function. I gently took over pretty much all the responsibilities in the household, then with the kids. She had been attending grief counseling since the diagnosis and continued after the death. None of this is the problem. I endeavor to be as supportive as possible. She cried on my shoulder every night for months, and I just thought this was the worst of. For better or worse, the problem is that after 5 years, she does not seem any better or more functional. She stopped grief counseling about 4 years ago and refused to go again, stating it would not help her and that nothing could. About a month before any major holiday, she will have a major downturn. In bed half the day, crying all day. Does not want to interact with the family. Does not have the energy to do anything around the house. This will go on every single day until about a week after the holiday ends. Every holiday is intense grief, just as much now as it was 5 years ago. October, November, December, and January, her mom's birthday month every year, are particularly bad. I am essentially without my wife, and I'm a single parent to my 3 kids. Altogether, she is completely incapacitated by grief for about 6 months out of the year, and has been this way the past 5 years. When I say incapacitated, I mean incapacitated when she is in the depths of her grief. She is completely incapable of intimacy with me or the kids. There is no cuddling, spending time with us, going on family outings. I don't make love for half the year. I've stopped asking her if she wants to talk about it, because she can't get any words out between sobs if she tries. What hurts the most is that the kids have stopped asking or being concerned. If they see their mom in bed when they get home, they just go about their day and might casually mention, "Oh, mom is sad today." If they're siblings or I ask where she is, they don't really seek affection with her anymore because they rarely get anything more than tears. I've discussed this with therapists, my parents, friends, etc., and I know all the rebuttals people have for this, so let me preempt them. She is unwilling to go back to therapy, for grief counseling or to see a doctor for depression. Yes, I know she's severely depressed. I can't force her to go to the doctor. I've tried so much. Yes, it really is just as intense as it was 5 years ago. No, I never tell her to get over it or blow her off. On my worst days, I just give space and leave her be. Most days I try to offer her some comfort. If you want to judge me for leaving her alone, whatever. But know that I feel like I essentially have caretaker fatigue at this point. No, she does not have a history of depression, but she does have ADHD. Don't know if that's relevant. I feel like my wife died when her mom died. I would do anything to get her back, even a small piece of her, but she doesn't seem willing or able to move on past her mom's death. I feel awful for considering a divorce, but I don't know what else to do. My coworker is the guy I used to bully. I used to be a complete B-word during high school. There's no denying that. I'm very ashamed of the kind of person that I was. It was partly because my parents spoiled me too much with my good looks, which I had out of pure luck and chance, and myself too. I was extremely arrogant and selfish. There was this boy in high school. Kind of a loner, always busy studying and doing projects, no friends, getting bullied quite often. He was very intelligent, always the best when it came to grades. I wasn't friends with him. I was one of the cool girls and I only hung out with other cool girls and boys. I was usually the center of attention. There's always a gang of bad girls in schools. I was their leader. I wasn't doing well with my grades, mostly because I wasn't spending time studying and was obsessed with other things. I had the selfish idea of using this boy. So I befriended him and let him close, in order to get some help in return with my studies, and he did help me a lot. Sometimes he helped me for hours before exams or coursework and it helped my grades a lot. His friendship with me made him more popular as well. This kept going for almost 2 years, and I knew he liked me but I never considered that. He eventually asked me out, which I responded horribly to it. I laughed at it, told him that he's not good enough for me, and since I didn't need his help anymore I told him that I only befriended him so that he would help me, not because I liked him in any way. I was a complete bitch. After that I asked other girls to make fun of him constantly, which made his life difficult. So time passed and I only realized at college what a complete bitch I was. To him and other people. I've had therapy and I'm not the same person anymore. So right now I work in HR. I was going through the list of the people who are starting to work for us next week since I'm the person who basically meets them on day one, handles all the process, etc. Yeah, he's one of them. I want to make things right with him and apologies for my horrible behavior, but I don't know how to do that. What should I say? I really don't know. And when should I do it? It will be extremely awkward on day one if he meets me as the person who welcomes him at the door without any prior knowledge. Should I contact him before his first day? P.S. I can't ask someone else to handle him when he arrives on his first day. I'm the only person who has this responsibility right now. My coworker is the guy I used to bully. So I decided to write him a handwritten letter, and give it to him on the day that he starts and move on professionally to the rest of the day, and explain everything in the letter. Since I was the person who was supposed to welcome him to work, that meant it had to be the first thing I was going to do. I took a lot of ideas about what you said to me, so this is the letter I wrote. Hi James, you're probably surprised to see me here. I'm sure I'm not on your list of favorite people to randomly meet. Without any excuses, I want you to know how sorry I am about how I treated you in the past. When I look back at the things I've done, there's nothing in my life that I'm more ashamed of. I can't imagine how it must have been for you during that time, and I don't pretend to understand. I'm just sorry for all that I did. It haunts me every day in my life, and it should. You might think I'm only doing this to seek forgiveness to feel better about myself, or maybe I want to make sure nothing happens to my job and career. You have every right to think that. But this letter isn't about asking you to forgive me, or telling you how much of a changed person I am. That would make it all about me, but this is about you. It's about where we are right now. We're going to be co-workers, and I want you to know that I will never ever do anything that might make your life difficult at work. It's funny I say that, because my mere existence here probably caused just that. And even if it doesn't, how can you trust any word that comes out of my mouth? You shouldn't. But that's all I have to work with. I don't know how you think of me at this time, or whether you want to talk to me about the past or not. It's your decision and I will comply to whatever you decide. If you decide to not talk about the past at all, I'm fine with that. When I return, we'll go through the rest of the formalities like professional colleagues, and we only speak when we have to. If you want to talk to me about the past, that's fine as well. Be assured that it won't be about me. If you need someone to yell at, someone to be angry at, or even a punching bag, I can be those things. You have every right to work in a place that you feel happy and safe, and if my existence threatens that, which is completely understandable, though we shouldn't work in the same place. So if that's the case, just give me the word and I will request a transfer or I will quit. This offer is open-ended. Regardless of what you decide or how you think about me, I genuinely wish you well. These are my contact details, so on the day, when he saw me he was shocked and clearly shaking. When I offered to shake his hand he was very stressed. I proceeded to give him the above letter in an envelope and then invited him to his desk. I tried to act completely professionally. I gave him the very basic info, then told him that I will be back with the rest of the things in half an hour, to give him time to read the letter and feel more comfortable. When I was back he was more relaxed. We went through the rest of the stuff and at the end he passed me a note which said 630 Cafe X, which is right around the corner. So I went in there and he was there. We sat there for a couple of minutes, not saying anything. Eventually I asked how he's doing and if he read the letter. Then he burst into tears and I couldn't stop my tears as well. After a couple of minutes, he told me that he was ready to quit on day one if I hadn't given him that letter. I reminded him that I should be the one who leaves, but he told me that it's not necessary. He told me that for a couple of years he wished me dead, and even though he managed to move on, he never stopped feeling angry towards me until he saw me again. We talked more and more and got everything out. It was almost 9:30 when we were done. The first 2 hours was about our past, but the final hour was mostly a friendly conversation. We didn't talk again that week. This week one day he approached me during lunchtime and we had a short chat about random things. Today he asked to see me again after work. We had a short chat and he brought up the letter again. Told me that he had time to think about everything. He said that he wasn't convinced that I was changed back then, but now after 2 weeks he's seen me around and thinks that I might have. He told me that he's willing to forgive me and put the past behind us, and we shook hands as friends. Oh, and at the end he said that I owe him a lifetime of favors. Haha, I do. I've never been happier in my life. And I can't stop crying. What's the juiciest rumor at your school that turned out to be 100% true? 2 teachers got fired for sleeping with students. A guy who slept with a girl on her graduation night, and 2 years later a woman who slept with a guy on his graduation night. Neither of them had done anything with a student before that, but there had been rumors about them both for years. The woman actually slept with one of my little brother's friends. The big one though was this: across the road from my secondary school was a cluster of shops. The year before I started, students got banned from going there to buy lunch because of antisocial behavior. Rumors and provable facts about stuff going on behind the shops after school persisted throughout my time in school. The ones all of the students knew were true were that the area hosted fights, illicit smoking and drinking, some substance use and teenage couples making out. There were other rumors, that we didn't believe, about things that happened after most of us would go home. Substance deals and doing the deed, basically. Now, one of my friends had an aunt who owned one of the shops. And when I was in final year, both said friend and I were prefects. One morning, a friend arrived at school and demanded an emergency meeting of the 10 prefects. It was, I should add, a relatively small year group, and odds were that every year most of the prefects been at least friendly because everybody knew everybody else, but in my year a large number of people from the same social circle had been picked for the job, so we were all pretty good friends. So we were used to consulting collectively about stuff before deciding whether to go to the teachers. We'd all been doing it for years already and none of us were really models of excellent student behavior. We were just decent at not getting caught. Anyway, the friend who called the meeting announced that we have a problem. Her aunt's CCTV has picked up footage of students from the previous night and it looks like they're engaging in intimate acts. Basically what we eventually found out was that one of the girls from the year below us, who we all suspected to have drug problems, had started selling herself for money, apparently charging as little as a tenner a go. She then convinced some of the younger girls she was dealing small amounts to that they should work for her in exchange for free substances. So you literally had girls doing the deed, the guy being charged a tenner, and at the end of the evening after having done this several times the girls would get a few grams for free.